You've tuned in to Books, Business, and Beyond, the show that teaches you how to maximize your income from your book to create the lifestyle you want. Now here's your host, the best-selling author who loves sunsets and traveling around the world, Shelley Hitz, and her partner in success, Kristen Eckstein.
Welcome to this episode of Books, Business, and Beyond. I'm Shelley Hitz, and I'm here with my co-host, Kristen Eckstein.
Hey, everybody.
And we have a great guest for you today. Her name is Cathy Demers. And when it comes to proven business success, Cathy is not a wannabe. In fact, she has a pretty impressive resume. She founded a company with a tiny $10,000 investment and turned it into a company worth over $20 million. That's pretty awesome. She's also the founder of the popular weekly expert interview series, The Business Success Cafe. And it's just a perfect coffee break for small business owners. And you can find that at booksbusinessandbeyond.com/success cafe. In fact, Kristen and I have both been interviewed on her show. So with over 100 interviews of global business experts under her belt and a system for delivering top-notch weekly education that is running like a well-oiled machine, Cathy is an expert on how to create an ongoing expert interview series that creates impressive results. And I know, Kristen, you've worked with Cathy quite a bit over the years, right?
I have, actually. I don't know how many years we've known each other, Cathy. What, 2 years now? 3 maybe? And we've taught at NAMS together. I've taken your mindset course, which is why I wanted you here today with talk about money mindset, because that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs have an issue with. A lot of business owners in general have problems with their money mindset. So I just want to dive right in because I've learned so much from you. And every time we chat and every time you have me on the cafe, you teach me something new. So I'm excited and I've got my notepad here ready to take notes. So let's just start talking about money mindset. Like what is something that, authors in particular should know about their mindset towards, their book sales and maybe back-end products and things like that?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me today. You two are two of my favorite ladies by far, so I'm excited. And this is probably the most popular topic that I ever talk about. People come in droves, and because it's such a ubiquitous problem. It's a problem for book authors, certainly, problem for people generally. It's a huge issue. And, I think with book authors, one of the things that and hopefully you'll agree with me on this, is that book authors tend to have really big visions about what's going to happen with their book when they set out to write it. They often think, wow, this is going to be a bestseller and it's going to be so popular and everything. But when it comes to the day-to-day of actually executing a plan to make that happen, fear sets in and they start thinking small really quickly. Would you say that's true?
Yes,
absolutely.
Definitely.
So one of the things that I love to do is I like to start this by asking people to think about this question. Why don't you have the money that you want? If you're tuning in here, it's probably because you don't already have the amount of money that you want to have in your life, right? And you know that in many ways you're probably the sole source of a lot of sabotage, of thinking small and then not following through and executing the things that you know would actually generate the amount of revenue that you want. Kristen, you know this about me. One of my favorite things to say is your prosperity is my passion. And prosperity includes a lot of things, not just money, right? But it includes money. Money is important. It creates a lot of things for ourselves, our family, our community. So ask yourself this: why is it you don't have the amount of money that you want? Now, the number one reason why people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want. And what I mean by that is they have some vague notion, they have some sort of idea about how their life might be a little different if they had a little more, but they really don't have a crystal clear, get right up close and smell it, taste it, clearly documented vision of what it is they really truly want and why. So I'd love to tell a little story. Can I tell a little story here?
Please do.
So this is a story about a dog that I used to have. He's since passed away. He's a boxer. He was my very first dog, and his name was Jasper. And Jasper loved to swim. He knew how to swim, which is really unusual for a boxer, but he'd gotten over his fear of water, really early on, and he learned how to swim. And what would happen, I'm going to tell a story really quickly. Doc asked, more coffee. You might want to have more coffee. So what would happen is we'd go camping with a group of friends, and at this lake every year we'd go, there was this dock, and all the other dogs would run to the end of the dock and leap off the end of the dock just for the joy of it. And Jasper really wanted to follow them. He really wanted to go where they were going and have the joy that they were having, jumping off the dock. So he'd go running to the end of the dock. He'd slam on the brakes. He'd dig his nails into the woods, and he would stand there, and he would not move. And he would whimper, and he would whine, and it didn't matter what we did. We could not get him past his fear of jumping off the dock, because to him it was very scary. He was used to going in, where he could touch the bottom and gradually go in deeper. How many of us are doing that in our businesses? We're just going out from the shore, tiptoed, getting used to the temperature of the water as we go. And yet a lot of people are just flying off the end of the dock. They're just flying past us. They're getting all the money they want, all the prosperity that they want in their lives. So what we did with Jasper was we got one of his favorite things, his stick. Okay? His stick was most delectable, juicy stick to him. And what we did was we threw it just beyond the end of the dock. And he would stand there and stare at his stick. He could see it was there, but he'd whimper and he'd whine because he's like, I'm afraid I'm going to drown. I know a lot of people who are probably thinking right now, that kind of sounds like me. I can even see this stick, this beautiful book that I've written, or it's in progress. And so what happened was Jasper would run back down the end of the dock. He'd run back to the end of the dock to shore, and he'd swim out from the shore to get his stick. He'd take the long way, the hard way, to go and get his prize. And for a lot of small business owners, we don't have the longevity, the financial longevity in our businesses to do it that way. All right. So what we did was we got a group of people together, and they blocked him. So we threw his stick off the end of the dock, and we had like people arm in arm, and we refused to let him go back and take the long way around. Right? And eventually what happened was, because he was so in love with his stick, he got over his fear and jumped. He jumped. And he got his stick. And the next time we did it the same way, and after 2 or 3 times he was like leaping off the end of the dock for joy. No stick in sight. No stick in sight. So the challenge, I think, with a lot of people in their money mindset is we don't realize how much we are controlled, and we live small because of our fear. And yet we know intellectually we won't drown. We get that. And yet we need to put some support systems in place. And one of them is being really clear about your stick. I'm kind of mixing metaphors a bit. I get that. But what is it? What is it that is so juicy to you? And how do you keep it right in front of you so it motivates you to plug your nose and jump in the deep end where you won't drown, but it's uncomfortable? And then how do you get a group of people around you who support you and they love you and they want to support you to not give in to your fear, to really jump into the unknown? And so, that story I think really encapsulates why a lot of people are stuck in a really faulty money mindset, is because they're not really clear about what they want. It's not right in front of them every moment of every day. And they don't have a support system of people who will not just say, yeah, I love you. It's okay. You don't need to go there. It's like, no, this is what you want. I'm going to help you get there. I am not going to let you give in to your fear. That's my story. And that, I think, is really the crux of a lot of the issues we have around money mindset, is that lack of vision.
And I love that. I think that writing out your goals is so important. And I have just recently done that in the last year, where I've had them in my mind for a long time, but actually write it out. There's something that happens when you put it in writing and get really clear about your goals. So I love that part of it.
Yeah, I've heard this story before. In fact, I think I heard it for the second or third time when you shared it at NAMS, Cathy, with your keynote, which was amazing, by the way. And hearing it again, it's like, a 2x4 to the head. It's just like, wait a minute. Like, I mean, I'm in a transition right now in my business and in my life. And now I'm looking back and looking forward going, I don't really have a lot of fear, but there is some anxiety there. There's some anxiety around money. And I'm looking at that stick going, what is my stick? Because I think for authors and entrepreneurs in general, the stick changes over time. Whatever that juicy stick is, it's going to be different. It's not, sometimes it might be, providing for kids' college education, or sometimes it might be a vacation or something like that. And for me, it's getting a lot bigger. It's becoming a log. And I just think that's really cool to be able to apply that story and that analogy to think, yeah, what is my stick? And gosh darn it, it's so much fun to jump into the deep end. I know I can swim. Yeah. I mean, all of us can swim. We just don't realize. I mean, some authors, especially just starting out, you might jump into the water and then suddenly see floaties on your arms appear. So it's like getting over that initial fear is so crucial, because without it, you're stuck on the dock, envious of everyone else. And that just creates, I've seen it create all sorts of animosity, and just people get bitter inside because they think they can't have that thing, when it's really their own fear holding them back.
Yep. And self-sabotage. We make it more difficult than it needs to be. We refuse to press the easy button when it's right in front of us. All those things. I was talking to a potential client a few months back now, but it really sticks in my mind, because I asked him, I said, what do you want? Financially, what is your vision for your business? And he told me, and I said, well, if you had this kind of money, what would you do? And he's like, well, I would put my grandkids through college, because my grown children can't afford to. So I would love to fund their college. And my wife, she's always wanted to travel, and we've never really had the money. And if I had more money in my business, we would travel and all these things. And then I said to him, I said, well, what are your financial goals for your business over the next year? And his response, well, it struck me like lightning. He said to me, I don't need much. I don't need much. About $30,000 a year ought to do it.
Ooh.
Whoa. Right?
Yeah.
So here's, I don't know how the heck he's going to do all that in $30,000. I don't even know how he put gas in his car with that amount of money. But he didn't want to claim it. He had a lot of issues around claiming his stick, really clearly defining it, and really getting excited about it so he could do the things he needed to do. So obviously there's some other mindset issues going on there. But the first thing is, you got this stick. I mean, he was pretty clear about what he would do with it, but then you've got to have that tantalizing, can't live without it, would do anything to get it, vision of what it is you want. He didn't have that.
Yeah, and what if an author is listening right now and they're like, I don't even know what goal to set. I don't even know what to make my stick. Maybe they've never done this before. Do you have any tips for how to even get specific? And, is it just writing out what you want and then what it's going to take to get there? What do you recommend?
Yeah, well, first of all, I recommend getting some help. This is not an easy thing to do. It's easy for me to talk about it, but it's not always easy for people to do. And this first small business owner that I was talking to, when he realized what he had just said, he was just about in tears, because the depth of the problem really struck him, right? And so one of it is, when you define what it is you want, when you define your goals, you also need to define. This is the acronym, the call letters for the radio station that most people listen to, and it's WIIFM. WIIFM. And that stands for, what's in it for me? Right? What's in it for me? And it's interesting, because when we have staff and customers and things, they're pretty clear about what's in it for them. But as business owners, we don't always get really clear about what's in it for me. So it's really easy to say, oh, I want a business that's worth, $1 million a year. Well, why? What would you do with it? What's so important to you? So I think it's a matter of clearly defining not only your goals, but why they matter. Why they matter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
And then keep them in front of you. I mean, in your face. Stick at just off the edge of the dock, that close to you. What most of us tend to do is we stuff them in a drawer, pull them out at the end of the year, and suffer the pangs of disappointment when we realize we haven't come close. They're not helpful. They're what Tony Robbins would call impotent goals. Okay, when they're just written down and stuffed away somewhere, they can't help you. So I go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, I love that idea of writing down your goal and sticking it on your, like, right in front of you. Like, I have sticky notes I'm looking at right now all over my computer screen for various things, and little reminders, or, like my conference call line is there because I never can remember what it is. And I do have something, I went to a radical leadership retreat a year ago, May, and I have something that is actually an intention, which is kind of like a goal. And it says, boldly play big and show up, embrace discomfort and freedom and joy to be me. And I'm realizing now it's taken me well over a year to really live into that goal. And it's been on my computer screen for well over a year. So, don't expect that your goals, when you stick them right in front of you, are going to happen overnight. The intention is that they're continuously reminding you of what your stick is, so that you can keep it forefront in your mind and make intentional decisions to get you to that goal.
Exactly. Intentional decisions to help you get to that goal. I love that. I love that. So I want to give people another tip. Okay,
awesome.
Can I do that?
That'd be great.
Yeah, of course.
So because so many of us don't make enough intentional steps towards our goals, right? We get distracted. We get bright, shiny object syndrome, which is usually created by fear. It's like, oh no, I'm not jumping off the deep end after that stick, because back there on shore, there's something more interesting, right? And I know I can have it. So this ties in very nicely with keeping your goals in front of you. And what happened was, years ago, and Kristen, I know you know the story, but years ago I was watching this video. I was watching this video that someone had sent me, and I don't think it's online anymore. If people go looking for it, they might not find it. But what happened was, this presenter was saying, okay, I'm going to be showing some students passing a basketball back and forth, and I want you to count how many passes are passed back and forth. So I counted them, and I counted, I don't know, 17 or something like that. And then he played the same video again. He says, I'm going to play it, and what I want you to do is I want you to watch globally now. Okay, don't count the basketball passes. Watch it globally and see what you see. And it blew my mind. I've got to tell you, even now thinking about it, it blew my mind, because he showed the exact same video again. And what I didn't see the first time, but I saw it the second time, was out from the screen, the side of the screen came this big guy in this black, hairy gorilla suit. And he was there the whole time. And, most people don't see it. Most people don't. It's called inattentive blindness or selective looking. And what happened was, most people, they play the whole video back again to make sure that he was in both videos. The gorilla was there. So this is the effect called the invisible gorilla. And so what happens is, there's a little part of our brain that's responsible for this. Okay, it's called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. It's about the size of the end of your thumb. It has two important jobs. One is to keep you from lapsing into a coma.
That's important.
That's important. At least in my life it is. And the other is to filter out from your conscious brain all the millions of bits of information that are bombarding you at any given time. Right? If you have a lot of stickies on your desk, like Kristen does, you are going to suffer from sticky blindness, right?
This is true.
Right? So you don't want to do that with your goals. So with your goals, there is this system that I've created called magnetic goals. And what happens is, you've picked some numbers that are in support of your goals. So let's say one of the things you might want to have, let's say, for example, I don't know, pick a number, $10,000 in revenue a month. Let's say that's what you want. And so you pick something that you can measure, an activity that you're going to do, which is going to get you closer to that $10,000 a month. So maybe it's book sales, right? Maybe that's a good one. So number of books sold. And then what you do is you count the number of books sold, and you track it every day. You write it down. Every single day, you write it down. And, there's a lot more to the strategy, but basically what happens is, it trains your reticular activating system to have you take the actions and the strategies in support of more book sales.
I've actually done this, and it works.
And it works almost instantly. It's amazing.
Does.
You don't have to wait a week. Yeah. I call this measure what you treasure. Because get what you count. And it's because you're using your brain to work with you for a change instead of against you all the time. So figure out some measurements. It needs to be something you can attach a number to and start, if it's something that you treasure, start counting it. Start counting it. And just like when you buy a new sports car, a little red shiny sports car, whatever, you start seeing it everywhere. If you bought a new car, you've had this experience. All of a sudden it seems like your car is everywhere. Bunch of people didn't go out and buy it overnight. Your reticular activating system has been told through the process of buying this car, pay attention to this detail. It's important. So you can ignore the gorillas stomping around in the room, right? They're not important. Focus in on the things that are important to support you to getting what you want. That is a really important strategy. I love sharing it because it really works. And Kristen, I know you've had that experience. Happens to me every day.
I have, and I need to do it again for sure. So thanks for that reminder.
You're welcome.
Shelley, we're out of time.
Yes.
So would you like to wrap this up?
Yes, we have just gotten just a treasure full of information from you, Cathy. Thank you so much. And if you want to continue to learn from Cathy, please check out her site where she does interviews, the Business Success Cafe. You can find out more at booksbusinessandbeyond.com/success cafe. And Cathy, thank you so much. You have just given us a ton of things to really process and think of, and we appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Cathy. This has been awesome.
Thanks for the opportunity to live my mission, which is to help people improve their prosperity. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, this is another episode of Books, Business, and Beyond. We look forward to talking with you next time. This is Shelley Hitz and Kristen Eckstein.
You've been listening to Books, Business, and Beyond, the show that teaches you how to maximize your income from your book to create the lifestyle you want. Visit your host, international best-selling author Shelley Hitz, and her partner in success, Kristen, the Book Ninja Eckstein, at booksbusinessandbeyond.com and grab your free gift today. Tune in next time for more ways to diversify your income beyond the book, and don't miss a single episode. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes.